Welcome to Kingdom Light Tales, where simple stories build strong faith. Title: The Seed That Refused to Die. The harmattan wind swept across the small village of Ayatoro, carrying dust, memories, and the faint scent of dry earth waiting for rain. Farmers had long given up on the season. The land was cracked like broken pottery, and hope seemed buried beneath layers of disappointment. Old Baba Duro stood at the edge of his withered farm, leaning on his staff. In his wrinkled palm lay a single seed. "This is the last one," his son Ode had said earlier that morning. "Father, let us eat it instead. At least we will survive today." But Baba Duro shook his head slowly. "A seed fulfills its purpose only when it enters the ground." Ode sighed. "The ground is dead." Baba Duro smiled faintly. "No ground is truly dead. It only waits." He knelt with difficulty and pressed the lone seed into the stubborn soil. To Ode, it looked like a burial. To Baba Duro, it was an act of faith. As he covered it with earth, he whispered, "Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone." Gospel of John 12 verse 24. Ode recognized the verse. His father had quoted it countless times. "But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit," Ode completed softly. That evening, the sky gave no sign of mercy. Days turned into weeks. The sun showed no kindness. Other villagers mocked Baba Duro gently. "You buried your last meal," one said. "Yes," Baba Duro replied calmly, "but I planted tomorrow." Beneath the surface, something mysterious was happening. The seed felt the pressure of soil pressing in from all sides. Darkness surrounded it. Moisture was scarce. It seemed as though everything conspired to crush it. If this is death, the seed might have thought, why do I still feel life inside me? The shell began to crack. To the untrained eye, a cracked seed is a ruined seed. But heaven sees differently. The breaking was not destruction, it was transformation. A faint cloud gathered one evening. Then another. Thunder rolled across the sky like a drumbeat of promise. And finally, rain fell. Not a storm, just enough. The soil softened. The hidden seed stretched. A tender shoot pushed upward, fighting through layers of earth. It was not dramatic. It was quiet. Persistent. Determined. When the first green tip pierced the surface, Ode was the one who saw it. "Father," he shouted, running into the hut. "It lives." Baba Duro followed slowly. His tired eyes filled with tears at the sight of the fragile sprout. He knelt again, this time not in desperation but in gratitude. "The seed refused to die," he whispered. "No," Ode corrected gently, remembering another scripture. "It died, and lived again." Baba Duro nodded. "Just like the promise." He thought of the words from book of Isaiah 55 verse 11, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall not return unto me void." Weeks passed. The single sprout grew into a healthy stalk. The stalk bore ears of grain. And those ears carried dozens of new seeds. By harvest time, the field that once looked cursed now shimmered gold under the sun. Villagers gathered in awe. "How?" they asked. Baba Duro lifted one of the grains between his fingers. "It refused to die." He paused, then added, "Or perhaps it understood that dying was the only way to multiply." Years later, Ode would tell the story to his own children. He would speak of drought and doubt, of laughter from neighbors and silence from the skies. But most importantly, he would speak of faith. Sometimes, he would say, "Life will bury you. You will feel forgotten, pressed on every side. But burial is not the end. For a seed, burial is the beginning." He would remind them of first epistle to the Corinthians 15:36, "That which thou sowest is not quickened, except it die." And as they looked across their thriving farmland, they would understand. Because the seed that refused to die was never just about farming. It was about dreams that survive rejection, faith that survives silence, hope that survives delay, and people who choose to believe even when evidence says otherwise. The seed did not survive because conditions were perfect. It survived because life was placed inside it by God. And what God plants, no drought can permanently destroy. Morals of the story. True growth often requires sacrifice. Just as a seed must die to produce fruit, John 12 verse 24, we must sometimes let go of comfort to fulfill purpose. Faith plants what fear wants to consume. Baba Duro chose to sow his last seed instead of eating it, trusting God for multiplication. Burial is not the same as defeat. Difficult seasons may feel like endings, but they can be beginnings in disguise. God's promises do not fail. As seen in Isaiah 55 verse 11, what God declares will accomplish its purpose. Pressure produces transformation. The cracking of the seed was not destruction, it was preparation for growth. May you remember, when life presses you into the soil, it may not be to end you, but to expand you. Thank you for watching, and for more stories like this, subscribe, like and share.